Salve, senhor. Bom? Já funcionou, já. Opa. Ao vivo? Sim. Mas espera aí. Salutations, everyone. Good evening. If you are just joining us, I am attempting to stream the Pauper Top 8 from Jackpot, which is my LGS here in São Carlos, in the state of São Paulo, in Brazil. This is absolutely a starting point for me. And, oh, hang on, I gotta mute my own sound. And this is exclusively an attempt for me to try and see if honestly this is a thing that I get to do and if it's going to work or not. If it works and you enjoy this, please let me know. It's extremely bare bones as of right now, but we are just gonna go for it. I decided that I wanted to try, and so try I shall. Alright, so this is the first match that we are going to be watching. And this is a match between two of our top 8 players here. So on the right we have Mantovani. Mantovani is known for usually playing artifact decks, mostly affinity. And on the left we have Takeshi, who seems to be playing a aggressive Rakdos Madness deck. And since the game already started, let's keep things going. Takeshi has already played a Jagged Barons on turn 1 and has dealt a point of damage to his opponent, putting them at 19. And has played a Rakdos Carnarium on turn 2, followed by a turn 3 Highway Robbery. And it seems like his opponent has had a odd start, where again this is a open deck list event, so our players they know the deck lists of each other and they are just playing with complete information here. It seems that Mantovani has just paid the full 4 mana for a refurbished familiar. So it seems like he might just be playing... Oh, and there is a Twisted Landscape in the graveyard, so we know that he just decided to play Jund. And it seems that with the discard from the refurbished familiar, Takeshi has discarded a Alms of the Vein, and moving to their own turn has now played a Vampire's Kiss, dealt some damage, passed the turn back, and from my understanding, life totals should be 25 to 16. Mantovani seems to be considering if he should be attacking here or not. Or even what to do for his land drop. Okay, and it seems Mantovani has not attacked and has just passed the turn back. So Takeshi has cast a Alms of the Vein, putting his life total to 28. And Mantovani's life total to 13. as a reminder, oh, and there's also seems to be a sneaky snacker coming back. And as a reminder, these rounds are untimed, so opponents can be extremely diligent in regards to their plays. There is no need for them to rush things in the slightest. Okay, and it seems like Mantovani is making a desperation move here, and he's just sacrificing his refurbished familiar in order to draw a couple cards and get a map token, followed by a cast down on a sneaky snacker, to which Takeshi replies with a lightning bolt to the face. Putting Mantovani down to 10 life. Mantovani seems to be casting I honestly could not see what it was. Oh, and it seems Mantovani just conceded to the game. Alright, so let's move to sideboarded games. Alright, now these are a best of 3, and this is definitely a situation where, if you haven't seen the matchup before, the Jun deck has usually plenty of tools to try and combat an opponent's aggressive start. So we are definitely going to be seeing things such as Weather the Storm coming in. We are not 100% on how the players are aiming to adapt their sideboards. I have not checked their deck lists just yet, but overall I do believe that this is a matchup that favors Jund post sideboard more than it does Rakdos Madness. And if you are just joining us now, we are going into the first sideboarded game here between our two players, where Mantovani on the right is down a game and is playing Jund against Takeshi on the left, who is up a game and is playing Rakdos Madness. All right, if you are just joining us or if you're starting the video now, this is the Jackpot Jogos Pauper CLM Top 8. This is an event that is very popular in Brazil, and these players have worked pretty hard overall to get a spot in the top 8. And whoever wins here is going to go to a bigger tournament, which is going to be happening next month here in Brazil in the city of São Paulo. And it's likely going to be a tournament of over like 200 people, all of them needing to earn a spot to be able to participate. This is the quarterfinal match. We have 3 other tables here where other players are taking their first steps towards the rest of the tournament. And we currently have the player on the right, the player on the left, Takeshi, up a game playing Rakdos Madness against Mantovani on the right, who is playing Jund. This is definitely a matchup that heavily favors, I believe, Jund overall. However, Rakdos was able to be fast and just take a game 1 pretty handily. That said, that was off a somewhat lackluster hand from Jund, where they didn't have any sort of bridges starting off and just didn't have a proper target for their wildfires. It does seem that Takeshi is now taking a mulligan, which again definitely favors the grindier Jund deck, especially post sideboard, where players get access to their tech cards, Weather the Storm definitely being a big one in this matchup. And again, as a reminder, this is an open deck list tournament, so players know what they are facing and know sideboard cards on the other side of the table. So it is expected that they will try their best to play and plan accordingly. And it seems we have a game. Let's head off. Mantovani on the right plays a Draws Forge Bridge. The Rakdos Madness player starts things off with a Voldaren Epicure, making a blood token and putting their opponent to 1. Mantovani plays an Ichor Wellspring and passes the turn back. Takeshi just plays a Jagged Baron, putting their opponent to 18 and passes the turn back to them. Slagwood Bridge. And a passing of the turn, it seems. Takeshi makes their land drop, replaying a mountain. And it seems... Oh, there's a Bujuka bug in play as well. And just plays a Faithless Looting. Drawing 2, and let's see what they're able to discard here. Ideally, they would like to see a Kitchen Imp, which they do find. And cast. Ooh, there's also a Fiery Temper. So Mantovani is going to take 3 from the Fiery Temper, and then possibly 3 more from the attack. Let's see if there's a response to this or not. Mantovani with 2 open mana might be considering a cast down or a Weather the Storm of some sort, and it does seem like there is a cast down targeting what I imagine is the Kitchen Imp. So they are going to go down to 14 life here from the Fiery Temper plus the attack from the Epicure. But now Mantovani is at that crucial point. He does have 4 mana to be able to cast a Chrysalis if he has it, and a Chrysalis would definitely go a long way into stabilizing the board in his favor. You can see the players from the angle of the camera, but Mantovani definitely seems to be deep in the tank here, and he just passes the turn back. All right. So there's another attack for 1, putting him to 13. Takeshi is going to pay a couple mana and play another Vampire's Kiss, putting him up to 22 against Mantovani's 11. And seems to be a passing of the turn. All right, at the end of turn, seems like Mantovani is going to cast a Fanatical Offering, sacrificing the Ichor Wellspring and drawing 3 cards. Obviously very good here. And again, he is under pressure, but yeah, not anymore. So it does seem like that was a Weather the Storm for quite a bit. I believe that was for 4. So putting him up to 23. But this Rakdos Madness deck is definitely able to grind and to go long. There's a Refurbished Familiar. Let's see if there's anything to be discarded and cast here. Doesn't seem like it. And is that the Chrysalis to follow up? It definitely is. So he is now at a very comfortable above 20 life total, with a much faster clock and a gummed up board. And it seems like Mantovani is immediately going to sacrifice his expedition map, his map token, and an Eldrazi spawn to pay for it, and is going to put a few counters on his creatures. Sending another Ichor Wellspring to the graveyard. Doesn't really want to be drawing that one next turn. So Chrysalis is now a 4/5 with the potential to become a 5/6 with the additional Eldrazi spawn in play. That seems to be another Fateless Looting. Possibly from the graveyard. And that's just a passing of the turn back. Is now the moment for Mantovani to decide if he wants to go on the aggressive. It definitely seems possible. He does have the faster clock and the higher life total. There's another refurbished familiar to tax Takeshi's hand even more. Followed by what seems to be a cleansing wildfire on one of his bridges. Draws a card from the cleansing wildfire. Followed by a duress, revealing his opponent's hand of a single land. So yeah, Mantovani seems to have this one easily in the bag. Yep, and we can see that from the attack. Very aggressive attack usually, but with a clock difference this big, I don't believe he is worried about getting chipped back for a single point of damage. And we can see that this is a pretty big attack for 5/7 damage, followed by a Weather the Storm, which will all but surely completely close the door on the Rakdos aggressive deck. Takeshi starts his turn by flashing back a Fateless Looting and getting back a Sneaky Snacker from the graveyard. Casts another Vampire's Kiss and attacks for 1, putting himself up to 17 and Mantovani down to 29. But I believe that is quickly going to be rectified. As things currently stand, this is a 2-turn clock. The 5-power Chrysalis and the 2 refurb familiars hitting for 9 a turn. But again, the Rakdos Madness deck is very good at just going through cards very quickly. If Takeshi starts hitting a sequence of rummage spells and maybe some other madness cards, it is absolutely possible that we are going to see a situation where they get to maybe control the board a little bit and then chump the Chrysalis for a couple turns. And yep, it actually does seem like Mantovani is doing the math on whether or not he gets to be aggressive or not anymore. However, I highly doubt that we are going to see a passing back of the turn here without any attacks involved. That's a cracking of another map token, drawing a land, which he immediately plays. And yep, there we see the attack for 9. It's a pretty hefty hit, putting Takeshi down to 8. We see a passing back of the turn. And there's another Voldarian Epicure there, followed by what seems to be a highway robbery, sacrificing a land to attempt and draw a couple cards, which just happens. And there's another highway robbery, and that's exactly what I said. The Rakdos Magnus deck is really good at doing things like this and just refilling the resources pretty quickly. At the end of turn, seems like there is a cast down from Mantovani to get one of the Epicures off the board. That does matter since the less blockers, the easier it is. And again, that's another hit for 9. Plays another land drop and passes the turn. And it seems like there was just a single block on the Chrysalis, which should put Takeshi at 4 current life. Takeshi is going to start their turn by casting a Faithless Looting from hand, drawing a couple cards, getting back a Snacker. And going to discard 1 Alms of the Vein, putting them to 7. And that's a passing back of the turn. So Takeshi should not be dead here unless Mantovani has a removal spell. And yep, there is a chump block again, putting him to 3 life. And Mantovani just passing the turn again.
plays a land and yet another Voldaren Epicure, putting Mantovani to, I believe, 25 life. And there's a couple burn spells going face. And it seems like just a passing of the turn back. I have currently lost track of the life discrepancy, but I believe Mantovani should be at around 16 life, which is still quite a bit. And it does seem like he found a Cleansing Wildfire for their draw for the turn. Grabbing another land drop and drawing a card. Playing another land. And cracking another map token on his Chrysalis. The map token revealing another Chrysalis. Oh boy. The Chrysalising will continue until morale improves. And again, there's an attack. And it seems like it's just going to be chump blocks all the way. Sneaky Snacker trades with one of the refurbs, the other one gets through, and it seems to me like Takashi should be down at 1 life. There's a Nile Spellbomb. Nile Spellbomb is definitely going to keep the chump blocking to a minimum. And it seems like Takashi has just hardcast an Arms of the Vein. And Mantovani is probably trying to decide the best moment to answer with his Nile Spellbomb, which he does immediately, drawing the Chrysalis, exiling their graveyard. Takeshi is popping a blood token, passing the turn back, and we have a game 2. All right. So our players are now 1-1. And let's see how things are going to change in game number 3. Rakdos Madness being on the play is definitely a big change in the dynamic of the match. But unless Takeshi has brought a very specific sideboard of things like Cast into the Fire and whatnot, I still believe that the game is going to heavily favor the John player exactly for the reasons that we saw in that game too. It is somewhat easy to set up a turn where you're able to have your opponent cast a couple spells, and then in the end step you kill one of their creatures, and or even cast a Fanatical Offering or Eviscerator's Insight, and then just follow that up with a Weather the Storm. And we already have the results of one of our other matchups from the quarterfinals. It seems that our blue-red scred player was beaten 2-0 by mono-red Madness, which again is to be expected, as mono-red Madness has a lot of reach against a deck that doesn't necessarily is known for its life gain capabilities. And a new result has come in. One of our other players playing Boros Heroic has beaten as per affinity 2-1, putting those dust to dusts to work against a mana base that is often very resilient, but not really to exile effects, especially from an aggressive deck that is definitely able to put up a clock. All right, and we are heading into game number 3 now. It seems that Takeshi has once again taken a mulligan, which is definitely not where Rakdos Madness would like to be. All right, and it seems our game is underway. Madness starts off with a Bojuka Bog with no targets, followed by a tap land from the Jund player. Let's see what Rakdos Madness can now cobble up together on turn number 2. Okay, and it seems like it is just a grab the prize, discarding a Vampire's Kiss, putting Mantovani down to 18 life. But Jund has its best play on turn 2. That Cleansing Wildfire is sure to allow for some extra explosive draws by turn number 3, including the possibility of doing something similar to what we saw last game, where on turn 4, Jund was able to end step, play Fanatical Offering plus Weather the Storm, and absolutely stabilize the game in his favor. All right. Rakdos Madness is now making its most powerful play on turn number 3, grab the prize, followed by a discarding of Alms of the Vein. That's a 5-point damage against the Jund player, and a respectable 8-point life swing. Mantovan is here playing a refurbished familiar and seems like he's just going to crack a twisted landscape looking for his next land. Takeshi casting another Vampire's Kiss, putting Mantovani down to 11 and himself up to 25. Now, while Takeshi is definitely putting the pressure with burn spells, there is no form of recurring damage, there is no Epicure, there is no Kitchen Imp or Sneaky Snackers applying damage, which means that it's absolutely possible for Mantovani to stabilize with a well-timed Weather the Storm here. Mantovani asking to check the graveyard to see if there's anything interesting there, which we currently don't believe there is. There's an Ichor Wellspring, followed by a mountain. And our third other quarterfinal has also finished with Black Green Gardens winning 2-0 against Black White Blade. A matchup that I would say heavily favors Gardens, as it is just a bigger mid-range / control deck. So we are now currently watching the last match still going here. And it is expected that this is going to be the match that is going to take the longest. Okay. Takeshi adding 2 mana off of his Rakdos Carnarian, using one to crack a blood token and the other to cast an Alms of the Vein, putting himself to 28 and his opponent down to 8. A 20-point life difference. But again, one that is absolutely possible for the Jund deck to just cut quickly down. Now, I do believe that there is an actual question here of should that refurbished familiar be attacking or not. And while I understand that a possible 2-point damage from a Kitchen Imp is definitely real, it has, as of right now, missed, I believe, 4 points of damage already, which can definitely add on and pile up, especially over the course of a longer game such as this one. Okay. So it seems like Mantovani finally decided to attack with the refurb, and upon no blocks has cast a toxin analysis to try and gain a little bit of life and maybe find another draw. But to which Takashi is going to respond by cracking a blood token and discarding a fiery temper targeting the refurbished familiar. And Takeshi should not have drawn that card yet, because the draw ability of the blood token should only resolve after the first spell cast. But ultimately, it seems like it didn't make a difference. And there's a Pulso Marasa. That's a very strong play, because that's going to put Mantovani back up to 14 and give him the ability to immediately replay the refurbished familiar, which he does. Forcing Takeshi to discard another card and redeploying his threat. But most importantly, putting him out of reach of a quick sequence of 3 damage burn spells. Ooh, but here's another very strong move by Takeshi. Just casting a Faithless Looting, discarding double 3 damage burn spells from the Madness, putting Mantovani straight back down to 8 life and gaining 3 more life from the Arms of the Vein in the process. But again, the board is empty. There is no persistent source of damage from Takeshi's side. So it is possible for a single well-timed Weather the Storm to just put Mantovani completely out of range again. All right. It seems like Mantovani has drawn yet another refurbished familiar, which he has immediately cast. And it seems like in response, Takeshi has just cast a lightning bolt in his face, allowing him to draw a card, which is another refurb, which allows him to draw another card. But he is at a precarious 5 life. So again, it is not impossible for him to just immediately die next turn. And while you cannot see on the stream, Mantovani has a full grip of cards there. There's an Ichor Wellspring for yet another cantrip. Whoop, that should not go to the graveyard, yep. All right, and it seems like Takeshi is going to flash back a Faithless Looting. Draw a couple cards, let's see what he can find. That's an Arms of the Vein, and that's a Bolt. And that is a game. So at the end of the good day, Rakdos Madness does come out victorious. Again, Pulse of Marasa and a myriad of refurbished familiars, really good, but not as good as just all the burn spells and just enough card advantage to get you over the finish line. We will be back here in just a moment with the next round. All right, welcome back to round number 2 here. We are now at the semifinals. So on the other table, we have Takeshi playing Rakdos Madness once again against João Silva, who is playing Red Madness. A match that is going to be pretty interesting, but if I had to guess overall, I would say it's going to go in favor of Rakdos Madness, as it historically has, mostly because having a burn spell who also comes attached with a gain 3 or even a gain 2 is going to a lot of the time be very good. The match we are going to watch, however, is going to be on the other side of the pairings, where Lucas Murta on the left is going to be playing against Tutu on the right. And this is actually an interesting matchup because Tutu is playing a deck that I haven't seen before. He is playing Boros Heroic, which I would imagine is likely going to be similar to White Heroic, playing Laguna Band Trailblazers and things of the like, and possibly 10th District Legionnaire. But if I had to guess, Lucas Murta's Gardens deck is going to be heavily favored here. A removal pile typically tends to play pretty well against decks that are trying to just suit up a single creature, especially one that doesn't have protection or hexproof or anything, and go to town on it. Okay, and Lucas Murta is taking a mulligan to start off the game. Again, this is definitely going to be a matchup where he is favored even while mulliganing, as the Boros deck definitely does not want to be behind resources at any point of the game. All right, it seems like our players have finished their mulliganing, and Tutu is going to start off with an Abraded Bluffs, immediately putting Lucas down to 19. And it seems like Lucas is going to start off with a Witch's Cottage. And there's a 10th District Legionnaire, as I mentioned, putting Lucas down to 17 life immediately. A creature that is honestly very good if it can be followed up by a few pump spells and at least one protection spell. Seems like Lucas is just going to immediately cycle his Troll of Khazad-dûm and get a basic swamp. Lucas playing the swamp and following up with a Innocent's Blood, it seems like. All right, Tutu is drawing a card, plays a mountain. And that is... I'll be honest and say I don't remember the name of the card. It's a 1-mana 1/2 that can be bestowed for 3, followed by a cartouche of Solidarity. So if there is any sort of edict effect, it is going to first hit the token. All right, and Murta just casts a Shambling Ghast, followed by a Mephitic Draught. Okay. And Tutu is playing an Acro and Skyguard, enchanted with what I believe to be a Hyena Umbra, and an attack, a jump block from the Shambling Ghast, putting a treasure token into play. But again, Lucas Murta is at a comfortable 17 life yet. That's a Lembas. Take a look-see at the top. Meanwhile, I am furiously trying to find the name of that creature, but am absolutely failing at doing so. Oh, never mind. I said before it was a Mephitic Draught. I now saw that it was actually a Tithing Blade, which got rid of the token. And Lucas just follows that with a Nile Spellbomb and a passing of the turn after the Lembas. Tutu going to cast yet another aura on his Akro and Skyguard, meaning that that creature is at the very least a 5 power attacker now. And it seems like there are no blockers on Lucas's side. And that's a swing. Ooh, and it seems like that was pumped by a Temur Battle Rage, putting the total damage at 14 for the attack, and cutting Lucas's life straight down to 3 points. That was an intense attack. Let's see if the Gardens player can recover from this. An Eviscerator's Insight on the Nile Spellbomb, allowing Lucas to draw 3 cards. Ichor Wellspring, giving him another draw, and that's the game. That was an impressive start from the Boros player. while we wait for the second game to start, I got a hold of the Boros Heroic deck list, and it's a doozy. The creature that I was attempting to remember the name of is Nyxborn Shieldmate, which is a 1 mana 1/2 human soldier enchantment creature that has Bestow for 3. And the lists are going to be at the description of the video towards the end, so if you would like to check those, feel free. But it is definitely an interesting mishmash of heroic creatures and just aggressive combat tricks in a way. It is very reminiscent of White Heroic, obviously, but it also has a lot of Bogos in it. It is playing a pair of War Squeaks, which is definitely a card to keep in mind for if you ever play against this deck on leagues or on MTGO or whichever. And that was definitely a Teamer Battle Rage during game number 1 who just closed the door on the Gardens player. And on the sideboard of the Boros deck, we have 4 Armored Armadillo and 2 Champion of Flame. Extra creatures that are probably going to be brought in against the removal heavy deck. And is also playing a full playset of Cho'Manos Blessing in addition to a playset of Benevolent Blessing in the main deck. So that is a lot of color protection. Honestly, if Tutu is able to assemble like a creature followed by a pump spell and a token and a Benevolent Blessing or a Cho'Manos Blessing, it might just be strong enough to completely stop Lucas from removing their creatures. Well, we are on their way for game number 2. Tutu started off with an Armored Armadillo and a turn 2 10th District Legionnaire. Murta has started off with a turn 1 Campfire, which is definitely going to go a long way in this matchup. 10th District Legionnaire immediately removed by a Defile. I am having a hard time figuring out what that enchantment is. Oh, it might actually just be the Shieldmate once more. Just bestowing on the Armadillo, meaning that it is just an attack for 1. But that creature is now a 1/6 with Ward 1, so it is going to be tricky to remove. Murta casting a Divest, trying to have a peek at Tutu's hand and attempting to discard a creature or an artifact, but it seems like he missed. Ooh, and that's how it snuff out, getting rid of the Armored Armadillo. But the Akroan Shieldmate is still there. Oh, Nyxborn Shieldmate. I am sorry. There's a Defiant Strike, a cantrip, and a little combat pump. Followed by Sentinel's Eyes. So that was an attack for 3, which Lucas promptly chomped with his plant token. Ichor Wellspring. And there's another County Garden and an immediate cast down, removing the Shieldmate. And now we are at that situation where Tutu is just stuck in a deck that has about 16 to 18 creatures, and that is just a hard cast Troll of Khazad-dûm, trying to get the game over with as fast as possible. Swings for 6, putting Tutu down to 14. There's a Fanatical Offering, sacrificing the Ichor Wellspring, drawing 3 and getting a map token. And our Gardens player has very quickly turned the corner here. Bojuka Bog exiles the graveyard, and Crypt Rats is going to make sure that any creature that Tutu might draw is not going to get past the 1 or 2 toughness mark. Gains a couple points, putting him back at 20. And there's an Avenging Hunter, making sure that that 2-turn clock is going to close out the game fast. Map token gets cracked, targeting the Troll of Khazad-dûm, revealing what seems to be a cast down on top. An attack for 8 is going to put Tutu down to 6. And that's that. So we are heading off to a game 3. As mentioned, the sideboard games definitely favor the Gardens player. And in this one in particular, where it seems Lucas just kept a hand that had enough removal spells, and obviously the Campfire, which over the course of a longer game just completely cuts out any chance of a surprise kill. In our other semifinal match, it seems like Madness Burn is up a game against Rakdos Madness. And it seems like game two has finished in our other semifinals matchup, meaning that Rakdos Madness is 1-1 against Madness Burn. So now I guess we are going to have a final game where Madness Burn is on the play, but again, against a deck that is able to Lightning Helix multiple times in a game. Moving back here to our main table, let's focus on the final match between Black Green Gardens and Boris Heroic. And this is a matchup, again, where Boris is going to be on the play, meaning that it is possible for it to assemble a very aggressive early game. But it seems like both players are going to be on 6-card hands. And we are underway with Tutu starting off with a 1-mana Armored Armadillo, followed by a Swamp, and that is an immediate snuff out from Lucas, putting him at 16, but making sure that the only creature that Tutu had in play is immediately off the table. And it seems like Tutu just passes the turn with no follow-up play, to which Lucas plays a County Garden and a Shambling Ghast. And yeah, it seems like Tutu is just missing land drops, so likely kept a hand that only had an Armored Armadillo and enchantments to pump it up and try to get the game over with. And unfortunately, the Ward 1 not strong enough to deal with a snuff out. Again, obviously, mulliganing going to be heavier on the side of the Boros aggressive deck. Both because it does not have card advantage and because it is a deck that is aiming at finishing the game quick and burning through its resources just as quick. Lucas is now already on his second Fanatical Offering, hitting land drops, drawing cards. Lembas is going to make sure that he gets to get extra life should he need it. Another attack going to put Tutu to 17. And it seems like the Boros player cannot find a land or creature to save his life here. County Garden, going to make another token. Iker Wellspring, draw a card. Campfire. Right now, unfortunately, it does seem like Lucas is just playing his card and attempting to close the game as soon as possible. Tutu, however, does have a grip full of cards now due to all the turns that he has spent drawing and not playing anything. So, however unlikely, it is possible. Witch's Cottage is going to bring back a Troll of Khazad-dûm towards the top of the deck in an attempt to have a even faster clock next turn. And that's an attack for 2 with a Shambling Ghast and a County Garden plant token with a +1/+1 counter from a map token. Passing up the turn back and a discard of the turn. There's the Troll of Khazad-dûm, an attack for another 2, putting 2/2 to 13. Immediately passing the turn back. An attack for 8, and I believe we should see the end of that game shortly here. There's another land drop and the handshake to finish up the game. Now we just have our aggressive mirror between Rakdos Madness and Red Madness. But regardless of the result there, it does seem like our final game is going to be between one of those burn decks and the Black Gardens list from Lucas Murta. Out of the two, the one that is the most favored to be able to win against Gardens is likely going to be Red Madness, just due to the higher density and lower mana cost of the burn spells that it can muster. And also the fact that it is able to extract some advantage from its creatures by just burning in response to removal spells, which is a thing that the Rakdos Madness deck is not able to do. All right, welcome back here to the final game of the night. You can see the CLM Top 8 trophy in between the players, right in the center of your screen. Whoever wins this best of three is going to take home the prize and the trophy and also the spot at the final tournament. On the left, you see Lucas Murta playing Black Gardens, and on the right, once again, we can see Takeshi playing his Rakdos Madness list. As expected, Rakdos Madness, the favorite to win against Red Madness. Alms of the Van and Vampire's Bite, very strong against a deck that is aiming at just burning out its opponents. Lucas Murta here is going to be on the play as he is the higher seeded player. Again, another thing that once again values him in the matchup over Takeshi, but we have seen the Rakdos Madness deck put up a very good showing against Jund earlier. Both players taking a mulligan here, drawing 6 cards to start off the game. And while Gardens is a deck that is known for its removals and card advantage, in game number 1 it doesn't have a whole lot of life gain. I have the players' deck lists here, and in the first game, Lucas is not playing any form of life gain whatsoever. A whopping 10 removal spells in the form of 4 Cast Down, 4 Defiles, and a pair of Snuffouts, and 13 creatures, playing 2 Avenging Hunters, 3 Shambling Ghasts, 3 Crypt Rats, 2 Troublemaker Oofs, and 3 Trolls of Khazad-dûm. So a setup that game 1 doesn't really favor him all that much. Oh, pardon me, he is playing 2 Campfires and 2 Lembuses in his game 1 deck. So those are going to be the cards that he is definitely going to be looking for here. And while he is also playing 2 Bajuka Bogs and 2 Nile Spell Bombs to try and control the graveyard a little bit, it is after the sideboard that the situation improves for him greatly. And we are off. Lucas Murta, probably with the best turn 1 play he could ever ask for in the form of an untapped land and a campfire. Takeshi going to be dealing a point of damage which will soon be mitigated by the very powerful 1-drop artifact. Bajuka Bog, exiling absolutely nothing. Followed by a Shambling Ghast. Shambling Ghast here mostly going to be used as a way to pick off either Sneaky Snackers or Voldaren Epicures, or just a thing to sacrifice and make a treasure token to accelerate their game a little bit. Land into a Faithless Looting. Drawing 2 cards, discarding a Sneaky Snacker. And an Arms of the Vein, draining for 3, putting Lucas down to 16 life. Lucas going to cycle his Troll of Khazad-dûm, looking for his next land drop, which is going to be a Haunted Mire. The shop here now much quieter than it was before, as this was a single elimination event, meaning that every time an opponent loses a match, they are out. Campfire putting Lucas up to 18, followed by a Jagged Barons putting him down to 17 once again. But it seems like there is no immediate follow-up from Takeshi. Micro Wellspring, drawing a card. And the Campfire once again gaining 2, putting him up to 19 once more. But important to notice, it seemed like Lucas did not hit his 4th land drop. And there is a very strong play from Takeshi's side. We see a grab the prize discard in a Fiery Temper, dealing a full 5 points of damage and bringing back a Sneaky Snacker. Sneaky Snacker now a really annoying card for Gardens to deal with, as the only answers are the 2 Bojuka Bogs, one of which has already been played, and one of the Campfires not Campfires, one of the Nile Spellbombs, which haven't been found yet. Fanatical Offering, sacrificing the Shambling Ghast, and knocking down the Sneaky Snacker, and there is the second Campfire. Meaning that now, at the very least, Lucas is going to be gaining 4 life a turn. This is a game that has honestly not started great for a Rakdos player, but immediately gotten worse. But he keeps fighting. That's another grab the prize, discarding this time an Alms of the Vein for another 5 points of damage. Once again getting back the Sneaky Snacker and drawing 2 more cards. Very strong from his side. So Murta being put down to 9 and then up to 11 again. And it seems like Takeshi has also cast a Chain Lightning still on his turn, putting Lucas down to 6 life, it seems. Oh, and there's the prize. There's the card that Lucas was definitely aiming at finding, which is the Nile Spellbound, making sure that that Snacker is going to stay dead after he defiles it. And that's a passing of the turn. Lucas right now, I believe, should be at 5 life. 6 life, excuse me. Okay. The double Campfire activation putting him actually at 11 life. And the Vampire's Kiss putting him back down to 9. And it seems like at end of turn, Lucas has just popped his Nile Spellbomb without the ability to pay for mana and just immediately exiled the graveyard. On his turn, casting Troublemaker Roof with Bargain Paid, sacrificing his Ichor Wellspring and targeting a blood token, mostly to be able to draw a card there. And immediately gaining 4 more life and passing the turn. So Lucas is up to 13. If there is something for Takeshi to do, it should be done now. Putting him, Vampire's Kiss putting him down again to 11. Discarding a Snacker to draw a card. Discarding another Snacker to the blood token and bringing them both back. That pair of Snackers now is able to keep the campfires in check until something else comes. And while Murta is apparently on the back foot, the game can very quickly change here. As Takeshi has a pair of cards in hand. A hit for 2. And a Tithing Blade to take care of one of the Sneaky Snackers. And gaining 4 again. Up to 15 life. Takeshi going to be sacrificing his blood token and paying a mana to play a Kitchen Imp. Moving to combat and attacking Lucas for 11 points of damage. For 11 points of damage. For 4 points of damage, excuse me. Putting him again down to 11. So, once more, the campfires are being somewhat negated by the aggression from the Rakdos Madness deck's creatures. Another attack for 2. Takeshi's turn again. Currently at 23 life. To Lucas's 15. And we are seeing here Lucas very often activating campfires on his own turn, likely in an attempt to not fall low enough where he could get blown out by something like multiple lightning bolts in a row. But again, the Madness deck not as explosive as the mono red counterpart. That's another attack for 4. But there is a cast down from Lucas to take care of a Kitchen Imp, making sure he only takes 2 points of damage. And a Chain Lightning that is going to put him down to 10. And back to 14 to Takeshi's 21. It is also worth noting that at any point that he has mana to spare, he can spend 5 mana flipping that Tithing Blade and making sure that he gets a passive trickle of life while it drains for 1 a turn. and lowers his opponent's life while doing so. During the end step, Takeshi with the lightning bolt, targeting Lucas, putting him to 11 life. And there's a hard cast Kitchen Imp. Oof, that's not a position where you want to be in. There is yet another cast down on the Kitchen Imp. Making sure he once more only takes 2 points of damage. There's a Fanatical Offering to get rid of the Tithing Blade. Creating a map token. And once again, Lucas still missing land drops, but just attacking for 2 and gaining 4 life repeatedly. This is a matchup where it's really hard to keep track of life totals exactly for cards such as that one, Vampire's Kiss, draining for 2. Takeshi going to sacrifice one of the blood tokens to just cycle a land. And second main phase, cycling through yet another land, making sure to bring back his Sneaky Snacker. There's the 5th land drop that Lucas has been looking for a long time. Another attack for 2, putting his opponent down to 17. 19, excuse me. And there's a Crypt Rat. While normally not a great piece of card, of removal, should I say, or a sweeper effect, it is very decent right now as a way to get rid of the snackers. And Lucas did have the opportunity to crack the map and maybe try to make the rat a little bigger to make sure it would survive its own effect, but chose against doing so. There's a highway robbery, discarding an Alms of the Vein, and draining his opponent for 3 more points. Bringing back once again the Sneaky Snackers, which continue to fight against the pair of campfires on Lucas's side. There's a Chain Lightning, and there is a Lightning Bolt to close out the game. And that was an impressive win from Takeshi's side. Absolutely crazy that he was able to come back from double campfire so early on. But the lack of lands on Lucas's side definitely means that he was having a hard time. All right, we have gotten the players to put a cell phone with the live counters on the screen, so it greatly helps us, so we are able to follow along much better to what is happening. And it does seem like Lucas is immediately taking a mulligan. Takeshi keeping his 7. Post sideboard games, the situation definitely improves greatly for the Gardens players, as he no longer need to be playing dead cards like Snuff Out in this matchup, and able to add to his campfires with Weather the Storms, as well as a copy of Crypt Incursion. So the Snuff Outs here are an easy cut. Likely that the Troublemaker Roof is also coming out, as targets for it are very few and far between. And we are off. Murta is going to be on the play yet again, starting off with the Shambling Ghast. Takeshi going to be kicking things off with a Voldaren Epicure, dealing a point of damage and making a blood token. Epicure not great against the Shambling Ghast. County Garden going to be making a plant token. And let's see if there is an attack from Murta. I would be shocked if there was. Yes. All right. That is a passing of the turn. Takeshi now going to be playing a Jagged Barons, hitting for 1 again. And seems just passing the turn back. Murta, 2 life, Castellambus, takes a peek at the top of his deck. Decides to keep the card. Draws it and immediately puts a Witch's Cottage into play. 3 damage from a Lightning Bolt. And that's 3 mana for a grab the prize, discarding a Kitchen Imp, and immediately putting it into play for an attack for 2 more damage. Murta takes a draw. No campfires this time to stabilize him. Hits another land drop. Fanatical Offering, sacrificing the plant token. Kind of surprised he didn't want to do that on the Shambling Ghast to be able to permanently remove the Voldaren Epicure from play. And there's another Lambus. So this is a very dangerous situation for him, and Takeshi can definitely close the match right now if he has the necessary amount of burn. As Murta is currently at 11 life. And that's another grab the prize, discarding yet another kitchen aim. So that's an attack for 4 in the air a turn. Down to 5 life. And that's a passing of the turn. It's a very tense situation to be in if you're the Gardens player. You need removal spells for your opponent's flying creatures, but you also need to just gain life to stop from being burned out. Now, it is worth noting that Rakdos Madness does not play free spells like Fire Blast and Lava Dart. Lucas, cycling the Troll of Khazad-dûm, finds a swamp. And it seems like Lucas is attempting to cast a Fanatical Offering and trying to decide what he's going to get rid of. All right, Fanatical Offering just getting rid of the Shambling Ghast, hitting the Voldaren Epicure. And seems like that's just a passing of the turn. Hit for 4, down to 1. And we might see the wrap up of the tournament here. 2 mana for a Vampire's Kiss. Sacrificing a Lambus to gain 3 life. And is there an instant speed burn spell? There certainly is. And that is the end. Rakdos Madness takes the top 8, the spot at CLM's final tournament next month in São Paulo, and the trophy and the prize of today. Congratulations to Takeshi for his amazing showing tonight, beating Jund in the quarterfinals, Red Madness in the semis, and Black Green Gardens in the finals. Very good job and very great showing from the players. I will see if I can get a few words from Takeshi, and if not, I guess I'll see him in the finals, as I myself am going as well, and we are going to see how well the players are going to be testing and preparing for the event. Overall, a very quick top 8 here. Just 3 hours of magic as the players kept a respectable pace and did very well following the clock. I actually got Takeshi to come here. He's going to come. Traz o seu troféu também, pô. I am joined here by the winner of today, Takeshi. First of all, wait, let's actually, okay. First of all, congratulations on your performance. How was your experience overall, do you think?
It was pretty. I was pretty nervous during the tournament, and I've been playing Paupers, I don't know, 3 months only.
Yeah, you haven't been here around the store here for
The
very
first time
long, I don't
it
think.
was the day you brought your pool, the first day.
Oh, to sell the cards?
Yes.
Yeah, so that wasn't actually that long ago. So, again, congratulations. And how were your matchups? What did you face overall?
Well, the first one was against
Jund?
John Wildfire. I was very afraid of this match.
Why?
I don't know, I haven't played against him, but with Grixis.
Grixis Affinity,
That
yes.
was a couple of times, 2 times. I think.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking we playing with White Winnie, but I didn't have Dust to Dust. Then I played.
And Dust to Dust would actually have been good against both decks, both against Affinity and against Jund. And what actually made you decide to play Rakdos Madness instead of something else?
I bought the White Winnie just 2 weeks ago. I have much more experience with him, with Rakdos. But I like the last time I played Rakdos 2 weeks ago, I didn't have a good performance. 1-3, 2-2. But I like to play it more. It's a fun deck to play with.
Good. And did you consider your possible pairings like more than just your first match? Because you knew you were going to play against Mantovani in the first round, but you didn't know your other opponents and their decks. So did you take that into consideration or not at all?
Not that much. I was afraid. I only think about Rui playing elves.
And he didn't. He ended up playing Scred today. Yeah.
Because I played against him many times here with Rakdos Madness, and I won them all. But I didn't play with him with White Winnie. I don't know. More confidence.
Yeah, that's great. And are you actually going next month to São Paulo now? you have the spot.
Okay.
Good.
Since I won, I have to go.
That's great. So again, congratulations. Thank you very much for doing this, and enjoy your win, enjoy your prizes, and I guess I'll see you in São Paulo next month then. Thank you very much. Good evening. All right, so that's going to wrap up. It's fine, don't worry about it. That is going to wrap up our stream for today. Thank you very much to everybody who stuck around. Thank you very much to everybody who watched the stream. And if you're watching this later on VOD on YouTube, again, thanks a lot. I would love if you could leave your comments and let us know the things you enjoyed, the things you didn't enjoy. And there are obviously many improvements to be had, but this was actually pretty fun. And I will definitely be trying to do this more